Hey guys, welcome to RC Video Reviews. I finally got the FPV backpack done, and I got this Caddx Loris from Banggood. So I want to start out by saying thanks to Banggood for sending this to me for review. This is the Caddx Loris. It's a hybrid FPV camera and SD recorder, or HD recorder rather. You can see right there on the side there's a little SD card in there. And I wound up finding a mount on Thingiverse for just the Caddx Loris and the camera. And when I put the parts on Thingiverse, of course, I'll reference the guy who originally made this part. And then I added the rest. I added the rest of it so we could have not only the camera bracket, which wasn't included in the original, but I also added the casing for the batteries and the VTX and the antenna mast. So what's cool about this, and again, I want to thank Banggood for sending this unit out for review. When I got this and realized, man, this is 4K 60. This is a 4K 60 camera, and you can see it right on the box there, 4K 60. What I realized about this is I was thinking about, well, what plane do I want to put that on? And I actually spent some time thinking about it, like which plane am I going to put this thing on? And I wound up deciding, well, I don't want to put it on just one plane. I'd like to put it on multiple planes. And I also knew that I needed to do the backpack video. I'd talked about that and talked about it and talked about it. Well, I knew I needed to do it, so I finally decided to go ahead and do it. And what I'm trying to show you on the screen are some specs, just the quick hits on the numbers for you. It'll support PAL or NTSC. It takes input voltage between 5 and 20 volts. I can tell you below 5 volts, it does shut down. It's got the DVR built in. And they say the weight is about 10 grams. Of course, the backpack adds more to it than that. So decent little specs, and 800 TV line resolution on the camera, and it is a CMOS camera. So decent little specs on this guy. And I'll cover the wiring and everything else. But before we go any further, I may as well just show you guys what it looks like. And oh, hold on, one other thing I want to cover right away, because I know it's going to become a question. So I'm gonna set some things aside, and I want to make some room for this. Okay, so the question becomes really quick if you kind of know what's going on out there, that you've got more than one option, right? So this little thing that I made, this backpack, that requires some work. And this is kind of a ready-made solution. Now, these two are very comparable in what they're capable of doing, but let me weigh them real quick because I know people are going to ask the question about weight. One thing I can't do, and you guys will just have to look it up because I didn't have time before the live stream to look it up, but here's this is flying weight, right? This is ready to go on an airplane right now, and that's flying weight. So we got about 93 grams for this guy. And then for the run cam, you need there's a battery in the back because I'm using batteries in this. The only thing that I don't have for the run cam is the weight for the Mach 3. I'm using a Mach 3 VTX from Race Day Quads and the antenna. So take this with a grain of salt, but that's 48 grams, plus you have to add the weight. And if we were to say that's, I don't know, let's call it 23 grams. So that puts you at 70 grams, roughly, plus another, I don't know, 10 grams for the antenna. So they're very close in weight, right? Very, very close in weight. And then you also have to add this guy. That's just a little wiring loom. So that's a couple extra bucks. But I wanted to go through the characteristics of the two real quick to break them down so you can make a reasonable side-by-side comparison in case you decide you want to do something like this. I want you to be aware this is an option, okay? First off, the Caddx Loris. When I got this, it was only $62. This is from Banggood. I'll have affiliate links in the description after the video's over. But I got that from Banggood. They sent it out for review. 62 bucks, but since then it's gone up. It's now $79 just about everywhere. So it wasn't just Banggood. Everyone did it. And it was $62 and now it's $79. And then the batteries that I'm using are, maybe you might even have them, but I'll just give you a quick look at the batteries. These are just little 450 milliamp high voltage Lipos. So real easy to get these just about anywhere. And I'm using the MMX connector, and I'm using on the back, I'm using the series connector off of a Tiny Hawk. So if you Google Tiny Hawk series connector or Lipo connector, these can be found for just a few dollars out there. So that's what I'm using to connect the power. If you have an alternate solution, that's great, but this is pluggable. So I can plug the batteries into this connector and it delivers the correct voltage to the VTX and the camera itself. So that's the battery solution I'm using. I could talk more about this if there's any interest in it later, but that's my battery solution. All right, so I've got 450 milliamp hours and 8 volts. That's what it boils down to. And the run cam, of course, comes with the camera. So the batteries are a little bit extra. So $79 in the camera, $13 in the battery. You're at about $92 plus maybe $5 more for a pigtail. So $97. On the Runcam 2 4K, the 4K, this is not a 4K version. This is a 1080p version. You're at about $109. Plus you need to buy the FPV pigtail. So another $5. So you're looking at the difference between about 114 and about 97. So 114 minus 97. Let's do the math on that real quick. 114 minus 97. It's about $17 difference. So that's the price difference. Plus you have to do the work on printing this and add the hardware and maybe a few wires. Okay. So that's that. That's the side-by-side comparison in terms of pricing and the weight. And one other thing I wanted to point out, though, is that the Caddx is 4K 60 and the Runcam 4K is 4K 30. 4K 30. So that's the main difference. Now, with all that said, those are the technical, non-subjective, non-argumentative parts, right? Those are the facts of the matter. Michael Belshi says, I have all the toys. Well, I made this, though, man. You gotta, I made this one. So the technical aspects, I've kind of meshed those out for you guys and explained the differences technically. But now I'm going to throw some opinion into the mix, okay? And my opinion about this is that while I think the Runcam is a fantastic HD recorder, I don't like the operating system in terms of having a degree of faith that it will not do something like reboot or lock up during flight, okay? FPV cameras, even though this is hybrid, you can tell by looking at the system, it's still an FPV camera. All they really did is took the video feed and they fed it into the SD card recorder, but that camera is still an FPV camera. And you can tell by looking at it, the operating system is contained in the camera. So I imagine that there's probably a way, if you wanted to, that you could take that off and connect it straight to a VTX, and I bet it would still work. So my point in telling you guys this is that I would trust this in flight more than this. That's the point. And that's opinion, right? That's just an opinion. I want to reference it that way. So there we go. That's it for the Runcam. I just wanted to throw that out there because some, the guys who know about this stuff might go, but John, it'd be really easy to do that with a Runcam instead. So let me go ahead and throw this. I want to bring the monitor out and just give you guys a quick look, and I'll give you a walk around too, but let's go ahead and turn the monitor on just so you can see the thing work. Kind of cool. Because it's real easy to stick on just about anything you got. So there we go. There's the camera at work, and it's on the, you guys can see the desktop there, the keyboard, and there's the Runcam, and there's the DJI Air unit over there in the corner still hanging out waiting for more stuff. But so there's the setup, and it works. It's pretty effective. You can see that I've got time and voltage over here, and I'll walk through that in just a minute. That was a late game entry. I was on Discord last night talking with the guys, and Hobie got on and he goes, hey man, how come you don't have that wired to the battery input instead? So I'll explain it in just a minute. But is there a limit on the size of the SD card? Yeah, I believe it's 64. Let me pull this up just a minute. I have the spec in front of me. SD card, where are you hiding? I know that I read that there's a limit. Here it is. It's maximum support is 128 gigs on the SD card. Oh, and by the way, you're jumping ahead a little, Michael. Let me show you this too, because I did this too, just to give you guys an idea. I don't know. I'll make it bigger. There we go. So this is the video details, and I did look at video. So this is off the SD card on the Caddx. So you can see 3840 by 2160, and it is 60 frames per second. And if you guys want to, I could probably run the video if you want to see it, if there's any interest, but it looks good. I just did interior shooting at night, so the lighting conditions weren't optimal, but it looks fine. I didn't see anything that was alarming to me at all. And I'll also tell you that size-wise, this is a 5-minute clip, and that was 212 megs. 212 megs for 5 minutes. So no, wait, hold on, I lied. I'm sorry. That was a test file. Let me get the actual. Hold on. I will get the actual thing out for you and look at it. Yeah, I lied about that. That was a test file. The actual video file, yeah, 2.8 gigs. 2.8 gigs for 5 minutes. That's the size of it. 2.8 gigs for 5 minutes of video. So in a 1 hour session looping on 5-minute segments, it pretty much ate up a 32 gig card. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely a pretty cool little deal, but yeah, it takes up some space to run at 4K 60, no doubt about it. Okay, let me, next thing I wanted to pull up was the specs. I wanted to show, or the wiring diagram. I wanted to give you a look at that. So here's how I wired it. And normally what'll happen, I'm not sure if you guys can see the mouse on the screen or not, but normally what'll happen is this. When you wire these things up, you normally use on the right-hand side, the plus 5 volt cam. It says plus 5 volt cam over here. You normally wire that and the ground to the camera for power. And then of course the signal wire to the camera for power. But since I'm running a dedicated power source, I'm running my own discrete lipos connected to the VTX, I don't need to worry about interference. Interference isn't a problem. I don't have ESC or motor issues. And so there's no real benefit in the extra filtering that the video transmitter provides to the camera. So for that reason, I connected the main leads, and I'll bring the wiring back up for you. I connected the red and black instead of on the BEC side of the VTX. I connected it to the main input power and ran that over to the camera. And that's why you guys can see, whoops. That's why you guys can see on the camera, when you look at the voltage right here, that's why you see the 8 volts. That's the actual camera voltage, or sorry, the actual battery voltage powering the unit. And the nice thing about that now is that while you're flying, you know, I'll tell you right now in this arrangement, 5 volts is dead, get home fast. All right, 5 volts is get home fast. I'll probably, when I see 6 volts, that's time to land for me, you know, 6.5. And the other thing is it does do the decimal place when it sees it, but only to a half. So you'll see 8, 7.5, 7, 6.5, 6, and so on. And then as far as time goes, I can tell you on the 25 milliwatt setting, which is where I have the VTX right now, this ran for a full hour. A full hour. So I haven't done a test, and I need to do it in the air. I have not done a test where I've seen the power drain at the full, because this race day quad Mach 3 does 1 milliwatt, or 1 watt rather, sorry, 1000 milliwatts, 1 watt. So a lot of power output capable on this VTX, and I haven't run that test yet because I have to fly it. I don't want to just sit here in a static environment and do it. So let me walk you through real quick the backpack. So we've talked all about the specs and the wiring and the comparisons. Let me show you the backpack itself. So in the package from Caddx, you get the board and the camera. So this mount, like I said, the front plate I found on Thingiverse already done. So the guy who did that saved me the time of doing that part. And then I simply added the U bracket. I did design that and create it for the camera, and it fits well. It's a little snug, but it's okay because you get a little pressure to help keep the camera from moving. And then as far as the screws go, just a couple screws that came with the camera. The camera, oddly enough, I did not get the U bracket. A lot of times you do, and I read the book, and the book said it is supposed to come with this. Mine did not. So that's why I made one, and I figured, you know, what the heck? I'm in there doing the work anyway, no problem. As far as the mast goes, you notice that there is an SMA pigtail. It's an MMX connector on the VTX with an SMA pigtail that comes with the Race Day Quad Mach 3. So this is in the bag, and that's how I designed it, was to fit with that. And so the antenna mast, the SMA connector, simply goes through the top. Then you screw the nut down and put your antenna on. So real simple design there. And then as far as the VTX itself, that's a compression fit. You can put some double-sided tape. There's some stands on the bottom, and I designed it to have airflow. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get you to see that, but right underneath, you see where those wires are? Here you go. Let's see. You see the wires right there? Those are the power and video wires for the VTX. They go underneath, and there is airflow. So the idea there was to let airflow on this plate on the bottom, and of course across the top. So good airflow. And then on the front, there's openings for the wire and the harness, the antenna, the MMX connector for the VTX. And that'll also let airflow through the front too. So anyway, airflow, and then I put a couple of slots on the side in case you want to use some Velcro or zip ties. I originally had small slots, but I thought I'll just leave them open and you guys can figure out if you want to strap something down, how you do it. But by leaving them open, you can move things around the way you want. And there's also a couple slots in the back. I just put those in. I don't think there's any real advantage to it, but they're there in case you need to use them for something. And then on the back, I want to come up with a better solution for this. This is what I came up with, kind of just to get the job done and get it out the door. But the idea here is you take this screw out and this becomes a door and it opens. So you can open this up and slide the batteries out and then put them back in. And then I mentioned the pigtail is off of a Emax Tiny Hawk. This is a pigtail you use off a Tiny Hawk. And that's it. That's the backpack. And it works. So 93 grams, you stick it on just about anything. And self-contained power, so good clean video, 4K 60, and you're 93 grams. So that's it. That's the deal. Let me go through the chat real quick and see if I missed anything. Oh wow, small chat today. Freddie, you have the coolest toys. Yeah, man, this is the FPV deal, man. This is the way to do it on FPV. It's a real simple little solution. And oh, by the way, in the camera setup, oh, I didn't show that, but there is a lead right here for the programming board. You can connect that, and you can do things like set the parameters like auto loop if you want auto loop, or you can turn auto loop off and it just creates one big file. I kind of like auto loop when I'm flying because that way, if you're flying and your camera shuts off on you unexpectedly and you lose the video, you don't lose the whole thing. So I like that. And so that's why I set it that way. And then instead I wind up with 5-minute clips. And I'll just take the 5-minute clips, drag them in my timeline, and the software will automatically put them in order. So it's really not that big of a deal. And then you can also set your name if you want. I turned my name off, but you can program your name in. There's no artificial horizon on this one. And that's it. Other than that, oh, I was able to flip the image upside down. So on the normal Caddx out of the box, this camera is upside down, but I wanted the wires for the camera connection to the board to be up top instead of the bottom, because I didn't want them all pried in down here at the bottom being smushed. So for that reason, I flipped it over, and you can flip the image in the software for the camera, no problem. Real easy to do that. I do have, yeah, okay, so you want to see, I don't have outdoor footage, Leo, for the 4K camera, but I do have indoor. I can show you, I can give you a look at it, and also understand that I am streaming at, what am I trying to say? I'm streaming at 1080p. So the reference is not going to be great, but I can go ahead and put it on and also understand it's flipped. So normally what I'll do is I'll put it in my editing software and I'll flip it back over. So give me just a second and I will bring this up for you one moment. So I just want to give you the caveat so you understand what you're seeing. And it's, we don't want to judge it too harshly because the conditions aren't highly favorable. So let me, I know how to do it. One second, VLC source. Let me add that. One moment, guys. Add files, and I'll go ahead and take this one and hit OK. And I have to resize this because that's going to be way blown out, really big. See, that's how big 4K is compared to 1080p. But I'll make this as big as I can for the screen. There you go. That's footage last night when I was doing the burn test. Basically, I was running it just to make sure it would stay powered on and I didn't get any artifacts, and that is playing. So I realized, you can see, there's my hand. There you go. You can see it. So yeah, there's the footage off of the camera from last night. And that's in a dimly lit room. And all I was doing was a burn test to check and see how long those batteries were going to go. Okay. That was the objective behind this test. And again, I'll mention 25 milliwatts. The thing ran for a full, hour. 58:57 is when it quit. And that also included me goofing around with some things a little bit ahead of time. So it wasn't plugged in and running and recording immediately. All right, so there you go. There's a look at the footage. I hope that helps, but yeah. All right, let me see. Freddie wants to know reason for the HV lipos. More voltage, more runtime, I guess. Running the combined voltage. Oh, there you go. There's the increment. Remember I told you it does the decimal, so you can see it drop from 8 to 7.5. And so far it's been on for 12 minutes. So, I mean, we're not even getting started yet, to be honest. But yeah, more voltage, Freddy, just more runtime, I think, is the answer. Is there a limit on the size of the SD card? I covered that already. Michaels says he wants to try this on his next FPV. Yeah, I'll put the, this is if you can get your hands on a Race Day Quad Mach 3, and they're easy to get, you know, especially if you live in the US, they're easy to get. Race Day Quads is. So this is designed for that, and the antenna lead, and you can put whatever antenna you want up here. And then the Caddx Loris is designed to fit that. And then all you need are the little 450 batteries. And if you can get those things and arrange for power on the back, you'll be good to go. I do want to remind you guys, keep in mind that this is a series connector. So it's taking the two 450s. That's why we're only at 450 milliamps. We're not at 9. We're not at 9 because I'm not in parallel. So it's taking the two batteries and putting them in series, and that's how we're getting the 8 to 7.5 to 8 volts on the screen, okay? So just keep that in mind when you set it up. But I can tell you, again, time-wise, 25 milliwatts gave me a full 58, 57. So, David, I want one. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you guys shop carefully, you might be able to find it for less than 79 bucks. Just saying, if you shop, it's out there. It's out there. That's all I can say. Would be nice to put it on my Viper. Yeah, that's you know, that's what I was after. And by the way, have no fear. You can put this, use Velcro and put Velcro on this thing and strap it down. And I also put a couple screws up front, or that actually came with the stock with the guy's plate. I left them in there, so if you do want to screw it down, you can, or zip tie it if you want to do that. So there are ways to do that, but Velcro, I don't have any concerns flying this with Velcro, man. I'll put a Velcro strip right on an airplane, put the other side on this thing, and plop it on there, and it'll stay. I'm confident it'll stay. The milliamp hours of the Lipos, David, is 450. So these are what I have here. What I have here are I just have a 4-cell battery plugged into an ultra power. It's called a, I don't have my glasses. One second. So this is called an Ultra Power S6, and it's a 1S charger, and it will charge HV. I didn't want to get into this too far because I actually am thinking about doing a first look kind of video on this thing, but this will charge HV, so it'll get them up to 4.35, and you can plug in 6 at a time. So the cool thing about that is you guys can imagine at the field, right? You just take this little arrangement with you at the field. And when it's broken down, this is very compact, you know, it's very small. And you can fly for hours, hours and hours and hours doing this, just cycling batteries through. So it's really cool. 2 batteries, Leo, because you need the connection in series to provide the required voltage. So I'll bring up the specs real quick on the Caddx. And here you can see you got to have, on the input for the camera, it has to have a minimum of 5 volts, and these cells fully charged are 4.35. So if you run them in parallel, you won't get the required voltage. You have to run them in series. You have to run them in series. And so that's why I did it that way. Running them in series, it allowed me to keep a nice flat profile, and I got 8 volts, and I got an hour of runtime, basically. So upside down, but very clear. Yeah, and it's dark. You know, that video footage was very dark. So yeah, I really want to see it outside. That's going to be the real test. So the next time I go flying, you can bet I'm going to stick, because I have plenty of planes I can fly this on. So I'll stick it on there, and we'll definitely give that a go. Let's see. Porto Forever Philippe says, I was about to buy one of these, but thought better, I'm going to migrate to digital DJI. Yeah, I'm kind of in the process of doing that. But I still think, you know, for the channel, right, there's a lot of people out there who have an interest in analog still. So anyway, guys, that's it. Are there any other questions? Range. Oh, well, the range is limited to the Race Day Quad, you know, VTX, and this is meant for me because I didn't design it for a flight computer application. This is really meant to be kind of like sport FPV flying. So I never really considered it for much beyond flying locally at the park. But I know the Race Day Quad at 1 watt. I'll put it this way. I've flown to with this same type of antenna. I've flown to over 3 years and years and years ago, I've flown to over 3 miles away on a 5.8 with only 600 milliwatts. So the range, you know, the force is with this one on the range. It's 1 watt, so it'll go pretty far. Will this work on analog FPV? Tony, this is analog FPV. Yeah, that's the point. This is an analog arrangement. I just brought the DJI out because someone mentioned it, but this isn't a completely analog setup. So you can see I've got a little monitor here, and so far, I mean, you know, the video has been very clean. You guys have watched it, so it's been very clean. And yeah, no lines, no disturbances in the force. 17.5 minutes of runtime right now, 7.5 volts. Yeah, it's a nice little arrangement. Please repost this live feed. I missed out. Oh, Tony, yeah, I repost all of them. This will show after the video is wrapped up. It'll take, you know, a little bit for YouTube to do whatever they do, but within minutes it should show up. And then I also need to go and put enough. I got to put some links in for you guys too. So I got to do that too. I wanted to get the video knocked out, and so I didn't put the links in yet, but I will. I'll put the links in for Banggood for the Loris. And I'll put in a link for the Race Day Quad Mach 3. These are good video transmitters, by the way. These are one of my favorites. So, and then 5.8 antennas, you can use whatever makes you happy. All right, Nicholas or Porto Forever Philippe says it's still a good option. Yeah, for analog, it's really nice, man, for just sticking it on a plane and going, you know, with minimal fuss. And it's a fairly cheap setup. I mean, this all in $92 plus, you know, a little bit of filament and time, and that's it. So yeah, very simple. And I will have this on Thingiverse too, so you guys can download it. Well, regarding printing, if you print stuff, the one thing I'll tell you is all of the parts, like the bottom plate and the bracket, they print without any supports, but the top plate requires supports because of the stand, because of the mast, and because of this overhang right here, it requires supports. So when you print this, just print supports only for the top plate. So when I post this on Thingiverse, I'll put 4 different STLs out there. I'll put the entire STL if you can print without supports and get away with it. Or if you can do things like on Cura with the tree support, if you can do that. So I'll give you all of them in one, and then I'll give you the individuals 1, 2, and 3. So if you want to print them separately, you can. All right. Nicholas says, I love this channel. Just got a TX16 Axe Max Go. Loving your videos. Getting back to de-icing. Was wondering if you could show how to set up flaps connected to the elevator after 50%. Nicholas, if you go look at it, yes, there's a go look on the channel for a video called Dynamic Dual Rates. Okay, Dynamic Dual Rates. Now, in that video, I show you how to do mixes based on a percentage of something. So in the case of that video, it's throttle. So what I'll ask you to do is watch that video, and then instead of using throttle and I don't know if it was trim, what was it, trim? I think it might have been trim, elevator, throttle and elevator, or throttle and rates. Yeah, it was rates. So instead of doing throttle and rates, just replace them and do flaps and elevator. Okay, it's the same exact logic though. The logic will work. You just need to change your surfaces. So instead of using throttle and dual rates, you will use flaps and elevator. So, but the logic's there for you. All right, Tony, I got to watch it all. Love my analog drones. Don't want to go just digital just yet. Yeah, digital is not cheap, and you know it takes some power, it takes some money, and it takes some weight. You know, these things are there's a lot to them, and they get hot. And I don't know if you guys watch my DJI videos so far, but it hasn't been completely easy either. It's been a little frustrating. I mean, I got it all working, but it's kind of annoying. Mind making an extension for a 5-inch drone. I don't know what that means, what you mean by extension for 5-inch drone. And you can easily move from one plane to the next. You only need one. Yeah, that was the idea, you know. And I kind of have that idea with this thing too. In fact, what I've done the work getting this ready for the AR Wing Pro, and my design on that is also to make this easily removable from one plane to the next. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we'll never stop flying analog. Yeah, I mean, there's real benefits to analog, no question about it. It's cheap and accessible. Parts are all over the place, and you get some pretty good quality, man. I've had some pretty good video feeds on analog. So yeah, I don't think I'll completely wipe out analog, but you know, for maybe the the big birds, you know, the big flight computer iNav, you know, range oriented birds, you know, maybe those will get a little digital love. The custom stack to include everything so it'll work on a 5-inch drone. Tony, dude, I just got done making this one, man. I'm not gonna make a 5-inch stack for a drone, man. I'm sorry, you're on your own for that one. So all right, guys. Well, hey, again, I will put the links. I'll put this on Thingiverse, and I'll put the links out there for you guys. And you guys can download this and print away, have fun with it. And thanks, Free Range Chicken. Yeah, it's about as compact as I could make it with the batteries. And I wanted to keep it low profile, low drag. So, I mean, other than the antenna, it's not much taller than a camera. So it's very low profile. So yeah, I hope you guys benefit. If you print one, let me know. I mean, it's cool when you go through the time of making this. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention a little bit of hardware. Get a hardware kit. You need some small screws, so I use screws there. I used them on the back. So just you need a little hardware kit from Amazon. But I have that. I never really think about it. But you do need some screws, okay? And there you go. So yeah, it's a nice little trim little solution, and fairly lightweight and fairly cheap, and 4K 60, man. So I'll do some 4K 60 video. I'll get it out there and let you guys see it. I think this is going to be very cool. Tony says, thanks for all your help. Your channel's taught me so much. Well, you're welcome, Tony. I'm glad to help. But yeah, it's, believe it or not, man, it's a lot of hours to do this. This is not done in just a matter of minutes. It's a lot of work. So I'll print the stack for Jones. All right, man. Cool. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining me on this first look at the Caddx Loris. And again, I want to say thanks to Banggood for hooking me up with the review unit. I will, as soon as I get a chance, I've got a lot of stuff queuing up to go fly right now, but as soon as I get a chance to fly, I will stab this on a plane and give you some footage of this and let you see what it looks like. But yeah, look forward to that video. It should be good. I think the video, everything that I've seen so far of the video on this looks really good. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for joining me. Hey, don't forget to hit the like button. We got 28 people watching, only 12 likes. You guys got to help me out a little bit by hitting that like button, all right? I appreciate it. All right, that's all I've got for today. Take it easy.